Bruchim Animtzaim. It is a real privilege to be here. For those who don't know me, I call myself a Jewish education junkie, mamash mishugal davar. I am privileged to be a member of the JEIC advisory group and also a co-funder with the Mayberg Foundation of various initiatives in Jewish education. Walt and I, my husband, who is here, benefit from this collaboration because, like the Maybergs and the amazing JEIC team, we consider ourselves to be positive disruptors. Interested in catalyzing radical improvement in Jewish day schools, challenging schools and educators to achieve their mandate of optimizing student internalization of Jewish wisdom, identity, and decision-making. This year's innovation retreat, IR22, is called Beyond the Page, Teaching Toward Meaning. We have been exploring what it means to teach toward meaning, focusing on how we deepen the teaching and learning experience. Up until now, we have spent time exploring what conditions and practices enable teaching for meaning to occur, and what obstacles must be overcome to result in such outcomes. We have had the opportunity to experience meaning-making, studying text together, and through our creations, please make sure to take them all in. We've been inspired by Manette's words. We know that this is personal. What has been the goal of our IR year after year? It's to be a call to action that ultimately is meant to impact not only ourselves, but maybe more importantly, each of our children, the generation that will become the next leaders, the next teachers, and the generations to come. If we suppose that while well-intentioned, many of our schools have not had the tools or expertise, as Yehudis said, we can't give what we don't have. To intentionally focus on these issues, one of the keys to enabling this and empowering our educators, empowering you, our educators, comes in the form of professional development. During this year's pre-conference, we focused on one of JEIC's initiatives, DEEP, a professional learning community of 15 programs that develop embedded expertise in day schools. These professional development providers work intimately with the professional staff of our schools to develop their expertise in a variety of key areas, ranging from effective teaching of Tanakh and Hebrew, to serving diverse learners, to developing teacher leadership, and beyond. While each organization has a different focus, what they share in common is the intention to embed within the schools with which they work the expertise and capacity needed to carry the specific work forward, often including the Chomer, but with a real emphasis on the Tzura. Thank you, Yehudis. The work these organizations do with schools is critical for catalyzing the changes we have been discussing and developing the role models that Yehudis depicted. Our challenge is to bring this level of PD to all our day schools and to ensure we are investing in the educators on whom we so rely. During the next session, you will have the opportunity to get to know a few of these programs. Jewish Day School Standards and Benchmarks and Pedagogy of Partnership, POP, are two of the deep initiatives that you'll hear from. As I mentioned, one of these initiatives focuses on Hebrew language, a particular passion of mine. One aspect that is often overlooked and that Sharon encouraged me to address is the power of language. in particular, the power of our Hebrew language. After all, isn't language the ultimate tool humans have for meaning making? As a people, Am Yisrael, we have a shared language, Ivrit. In our day schools, we have the opportunity to give our students this gift. Biblical Hebrew provides our students with access to our texts. Siddur Hebrew provides them with the access to prayer, a way of building a relationship with God and finding their place in community. Modern Hebrew connects us with Israel and Jewish peoplehood and provides the student with a sense of belonging to Am Yisrael. And what does Yisrael mean? To struggle or wrestle with God. 2 years ago, 4 years ago, COVID kind of. Manette introduced us to her version of GPS, the idea of God-powered schools. So tachlis, how do we wrestle with God in the classroom? How do we move beyond checking off boxes as to how many pasukim we have covered? How might we connect some of the elements of their Judaic curriculum, which often includes both Hebrew and text study, the Jewish calendar, history, and Israel, to explore meaning-making and God? While preparing my remarks for today, this question led me to noticing that throughout Tanakh, there are many names for God. These various names, Adonai, Elohim, Roi, El Rachamim, capture different qualities. It dawned on me that one way we might incorporate the study of Hebrew into our students' conversations about God would be to engage them in a reflection on the power of names. How are God's qualities reflected in various names for God throughout our sources? How might these aspects foster a deepening of our relationship with God? I actually have an idea that I hope might stimulate some of you who are educators to develop further. Just think what it might be like to juxtapose the exploration of the various names of God as we make our way through the text with our students, through the Tanakh, with an exploration of the meaning of their own names, by, for instance, introducing them to the famous poem by Zelda Schneerson-Mishkovsky, L'chol ish yesh shem. Each of us has a name. L'chol ish yesh shem shenatan lo Elohim. Each of us has a name given to us by God. V'natnu lo aviv imo, that was given to us by our parents. Well, enough of my ideas. While there is nothing I enjoy more than envisioning what is possible, we know that without action, na'aseh v'nishma, this will just be talk. So we are now going to have the opportunity to become more familiar with some of JEIC-funded actual models of meaning. 6 different approaches to making meaning in Judaic study classes that are actually being piloted. In addition to the 2 I mentioned, pedagogy of partnership and standards and benchmarks, you'll have the opportunity to learn more about Lifnai v'Lifnim, Amatz, wrestling with God, and Machom Menoras HaHochma. We hope this opportunity will raise all of our awareness and stimulate our thinking so we will begin to consider whether we want to embed one of these or some different approach into the fabric of our schools. As you are learning about these initiatives, I hope you will be inspired and consider some of the wisdom that is found in a number of the writings by Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, Zichrono Levacha. We are changed not by what we receive, by what we do. It is easy for an infinite creator to make a home for humanity. It is hard for us to make a home for God. That is why making the sanctuary takes up so much more space in the Torah narrative than the birth of the universe. God is the distant voice we hear and seek to amplify in our systems of meaning, each particular to a culture, a civilization, a faith. God is the one within the many, the unity at the core of our diversity, the call that leads us to journey beyond the self and its strivings, to enter into otherness and be enlarged by it, to seek to be a vehicle through which blessing flows outwards to the world, to give thanks for the miracle of being and the radiance that shines wherever two lives touch, in affirmation, forgiveness, and love. And in closing, one more pasuk of his. There are many ways to God. Where we begin doesn't matter, so long as we begin. So let's begin.